Hi, this is Ray. If I could have everyone's attention, if you're on a phone or something similar in this room, please do not be on Wi-Fi. We have limited Wi-Fi. Thank you.
All right. Welcome to the Coronado Rotary Club. This is Wednesday, November 9th. And I want to welcome all of our members, all of our guests, all of our members and guests that are on Zoom. We're glad that you're here with us. And so let's start our inspirational invocation and pledge with Brent Bennett, if he'd like to come up, and if everybody would please stand. Oh, there he comes.
Make my way through the crowd.
Come on up.
All right.
Got it?
Yep, got it. Thank you, President Luann. With Election Day behind us and Thanksgiving on our radar horizon, we will pause on Friday to remember and give thanks for the men and women who have worn and who now wear the cloth of our great nation. Each flag that memorializes a fallen hero in our national cemeteries around the world, and each flag that our dedicated Rotary team places on Orange Avenue on Veterans Day represents not just the eternal gratitude of our grateful nation, but also the everlasting thanks of quite literally tens of millions of people around the world who today live in peace, freedom, and prosperity as a direct result of their sacrifice. From Asia to Africa and to Europe and the vastness of the Pacific, our honored dead and their brothers and sisters stood in the face of seemingly impossible odds to confront tyranny, injustice, and human tragedy. With the men and women who once stood the watch and those who now stand the watch on our behalf around the world, with them foremost in our minds and thoughts and prayers, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Brent. So past President Dan Orr, come on up for introducing visiting Rotarians and guests. And I'll go ahead and introduce the first visiting Rotarian over here, James Morrison. He is the District Foundation Chair, and he is from the Point Loma Rotary Club. So welcome, James.
Hi, James.
Thanks.
Steve Durmeyer, Ivan Dunn, Carol Summers. You should meet James. He runs Ride the Point, which is this Saturday. I highly recommend it. Anyway, I guess our guest speaker, Mr. Germ, does not need a makeup. So he doesn't need to be introduced. Do we have anybody else that snuck in behind me while I was eating potato chips? It's a visiting Rotarian. Nope. Okay. How about Zoom? Do we have anybody that zoomed in? Visiting Rotarians. All right. I guess we go to guests. Guests of Rotarians.
Oh, fuck.
Like Tom Mitchell behind the pole. I feel like I'm at the polo grounds.
Yeah, I want to do a little pole dance. Oh, so I'm sorry. President Luann, fellow Rotarians and guests, I have a special guest, Jerry Brown, and he's really a great friend, and he's here for a second visit. And my beautiful, wonderful wife, Susan, is here. So thank you.
Visiting Rotarian Dan Gensler is here too. It looks like that. That's it. Oh, here we go.
President
Jessica.
Luann. Hi. Okay. President Luann, fellow Rotarians and guests, this is my Aunt Karen. Flew all the way in from Detroit, Michigan, literally like 30 minutes ago. So here she is.
I think that's it. You can might ask if there's anybody on Zoom.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Next, as I always do, we have our red badgers stand up. So as I call your name, if you'd stand up, and I always say, please get a hold of them, say hi, introduce yourself, ask them to sit with you sometime at lunch. So let's see who we have. We have Ray Batar. Ray is over here. He's giving his, who am I today? So this is his last standing as a red badger. Ronnie Hauser, she's here somewhere. Ronnie's right there. Joe Malloy, we know where he is. Georgia Farrell, I think, is here. Georgia's right there. Jacqueline Trapp and Eric Trapp, right here. And then Tim Quast, he's on the microphone right here. And I think, Hanadi Badassarian, got that one right. Did I miss anybody? John Miser. I think that's it. Is there anybody, any red badgers on Zoom that want to unmute and say hi?
Hello, it's Chris Kelly.
Hello, it's Sarah Sheverton.
All right. Okay, so I think we're good. So next, the announcements. We'll go through this real quickly. Everybody knows that this month is Rotary Foundation Month, and we'll be hearing about that shortly. Okay, so we have the Rotary Networking Social that is tomorrow, November 10th, 5:30 to 7:30 at Kevin Ruggi's office, the Rotary Patio. That's 1024 Isabella. So if you are going to go there, let Natalie Bailey know. Please, a lot of people go. It's a great networking social. Then the next Flags on the Avenue, that is the next day, November 11th, Veterans Day. Meet at First and Orange at 7 a.m. and they come down at 4 p.m. So you can do both or either one. Then beach cleanup the next day, Saturday, November 12th, 7:45 a.m. Meet at Isabella and Orange. Then the Rotary Social this month is Thursday, November 17th at Pat Flynn's home, 1021 Adela. That's 5:30 to 7:30. As always, bring something to drink, an appetizer, and bring your own cup, glass, wine glass, whatever. We're trying to get away from the plastic glasses. And as you all know, here are the cups. They finally came in. They're for sale over here. Thank you to Meredith Heineke for ordering these. They're $10. Start buying these, bring them with you to the committee meetings, to the meetings here every Wednesday. And so we can, again, get rid of the plastic cups. And also, if you want to buy this, it's cash or check. All right. So next, past president Suzanne Pop would like to come up.
Not inducting anyone today. President Luann, members of the club and board and guests, today is the reading of the board of directors for the Rotary Club of Coronado. Nominees for election for one-year term starting July 1st, 2023. Directors that are continuing, they are also called non-officers, but I think that's kind of negative. They're directors continuing. Natalie Bailey, Tom Edison, Janice Lowenberg. New directors are David Landon, John McCann, and to be determined. Our treasurer is continuing on is Carol McClelland. Our secretary is Kit Williams, and the following officers automatically advance to new positions July 1st. Immediate past president, Luann Miller. We won't even clap for her because we love her. President Bob Rutherford, and finally, president nominee, Pat Stark.
Thank you, Suzanne. Sounds like a great nomination of all of those. So that's awesome. Next, I'd like to call up Bob Syverson, if you'd like to come on up. He's going to talk to us about the Rotary Santas.
Thank you, President Luann. First of all, would everyone who's been a Santa or an elf or a reindeer, please stand in any time in your career with the Rotary program. Okay. Thank you, guys. For the rest of you, that's the club I'd like you guys to join this year, especially Red Badgers or anyone who's got 3 to 5 years in. It's extremely rewarding. You sign up. There's a sheet on the table and a pen, and we meet at the fire station at 4:30 on Christmas Eve. You are dressed in a Santa suit. If your elf is dressed in an elf outfit or a reindeer outfit, you're being taken to each of the houses to deliver gifts to the kids. This year, we get to go inside the houses, which is extraordinarily good feeling. I guess I'd say it that way. And we need volunteers. We had several sign up last week. You're going to keep hearing this until we hit our quota. So please take this opportunity to sign up and be a Rotary Santa, a Rotary reindeer who drives the Santa, or an elf who helps the Santa organize the gifts for delivery inside the house. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, next, Jacqueline Trapp, if she wants to come up and tell us about the holiday party.
Okay, you all know we're in for a big treat. The holiday party's coming up. I can't believe it's the holidays already. Wednesday, December 14th. It's at the normal time. And we're looking forward to all of you being there. It's $38 for adults, $15 for children 3 to 11, and free for those under 3. We'll have gifts, as always happens. I haven't been, so it makes me sound funny, like I know. But there'll be gifts that Santa will bring them. There'll be photos that our own Coronado Rotary Club choral will be singing. So it will be a really fun event. We hope everybody can make it. I think they've posted it up there. There's a QR code you can use to sign up, or in the emails that you've been getting from the Rotary, you can sign up through there. So we look forward to seeing everyone.
All right. So not only are we a very generous club, but we also look for opportunities to volunteer. So over there on the table, when we're done today, if you would go look, there's 3 opportunities to be able to volunteer. The first one, if you remember, the San Diego Food Bank was the district had that challenge with the Lions Club. We ended up collecting 215 pounds of food, I think. They extended it to the end of this month. So next Wednesday, if you have canned goods, bring them to the meeting. And if you are on Zoom, or if you know someone that has not, or you want to, you can always drop it off at my house on my front porch at 142 I Avenue. So we're still collecting. And when we drop the food off, we went to the pantry in IB. It's called the Neighborhood Center. And they were so thankful. I think I told you that they were not getting a delivery from the food bank for a week, and there was nothing on the shelves. So they were very thankful for the food that we brought. So she sent me another email thanking all of us for what we did. So we decided that we could make this, since they're our neighbor and there is no IB Rotary Club except for us, we're the closest. So we're going to make this into a few people that would like to join and form a committee. And every once in a while, we'll collect food. And they also collect men's clothing and women's clothing. They have, I think it's called a Saturday shower day. And they come and they get clothing and stuff like that. So that is one thing to sign up if you're interested. I know Jenny Johnson already told me that she wants to do it. So I do need a few people just to organize that. Then the next thing is the City Holiday Parade. We are doing a float again this year. Robin McCarty's in charge. And there's a sign-up sheet over there. It is on December 2nd. And we'll announce it as we go, but we do need people to help decorate the float and to be in the parade. And then the third one is December 11th, the Ride the Lights, where they do the bikes around town. We're co-chairing that event with Coronado Optimus. And basically what it is when, and Dan Orr's in charge of that, when they're done riding, They meet at, I believe, Dan, is at Spreckles Park and, yeah, Spreckles Park. And we're giving 150 cookies out. We need 6 people to give those cookies out, and that's another sign-up sheet over there. And the same thing, there'll be 6 people from the Optimist Club with 150 cookies. So those are 3 things that you can do, and it gives you something to do, and I really appreciate all that. So the next is Coronado Rotarians Out and About, that slide. And there you go. And the first slide is, I think it's the safe harbor. Is that the first one? I want to make sure we got the right slide. Yes. So safe harbor, which everybody knows in our community for mental health. And the CEO of that is Georgia Farrell over there. And so they had a thank you at Feast and Fairway for all of those people that donated. And I can tell you, it was amazing how many Rotarians were there. And that was, I mean, when you look at what our club does outside of Rotary per se, but for our community was amazing. And if you look at that, at the top is in a history of giving, $100,000 plus was the Burnettis, which I think is amazing. I got to look at this for the rest of them. Then for 50,000 and above was Chuck Howe from our club. And then Jason Anderson was there for his family that gave 50,000 above. And we got, for our club, giving 50,000 and more. And they gave us this. So we got this that will go in our office as a thank you. And then as you notice, for 25,000 and up was David and Janice Lowenberg, and then a lot of people 10,000 up. And so many, I mean, when you look at that, so many of our members are so generous. So next, it was really amazing. The YMCA Camp Surf, I think it was Saturday or Sunday. Our own Zay Thomas was given the Stargazer Award for all her years of service at Camp Surf. And a bunch of us were there to see her get that award. So congratulations to her. Okay, so next we have Ray Batar, who's going to do his Who Am I?
Thank you, Madam President. Rotarians and guests, thank you for this opportunity to share with you a little bit about myself. I love to speak. I'm not afraid of speaking in front of people. You guys have heard me before. I got a big mouth. But I'm going to read what I wrote today to make sure it's about 2 minutes. I wouldn't be here were it not for my sponsor, Virginia Baer, who I loved about 47 seconds after meeting her at an Imperial Beach chamber function. This is for Virginia and hers. Who am I? I'm 1 part academic, 1 part punk rock and roller, 1 part financial professional, and 2 to 3 parts undeveloped. As an academic, I study and teach communication, political science, philosophy of religion, theology at the university level. I teach mostly for national. My dissertation engaged the age-old challenge of evil, given the omnipotence, omniscience, and perfect goodness of God that many monotheists worship. Punk rocker? Well, music has been a lifelong passion. I guess I inherited a voice from my mother and took my love for rock and roll to culmination in the licentiously rebellious and anti-authoritarian punk movement of the 70s and 80s. I currently play in a punk damaged rock and roll band. I sing for it, and let's keep that our little secret. We don't need to talk about that too much. In my financial practice, I protect families, help people secure the futures and their futures and those of their children and grandchildren. I help facilitate retirement 2 to 3 years early and grow money in tax-free ways. Meeting or exceeding people's fiscal needs brings me deep reward and affords me a living. I am, however, twice as undeveloped or underdeveloped than any of my other constituent parts. I am not a very responsible person. I was born last in an immigrant family of 3 children, the youngest accident, 9 years the junior of my next female sibling, my 2 sisters. As such, I didn't have much responsibility. I was the responsibility. I was raised in an environment of extreme love and care to the point that I pretty much became a failure to launch scenario. While I was the only one in my family to go to college, I also grew exceedingly skeptical, perhaps even cynical of the world around me. That came from seminary, which is an irony, which I've had to work through. Rotary is a chance for me to pull my head out of my own sphere of self-concern and interest. Not so easy to do, but I hope to learn what it means to serve above self. I have a great example in Virginia, whose family I have met ever so briefly to glimpse that the goodness of God cannot be eclipsed by the darkness in our world. I am still in awe of her person, as I am of so many here at Rotary. I hope to grow up a bit, both with and through you all. Thank you for patiently listening.
Okay, Virginia is his sponsor. She's going to come up and, as we always do traditionally, is pull off that red badge. So congratulations, Red. Okay, next we have our past district governor and past president, Dan Gensler, has a couple awards.
Thanks, President Luann. Back in June, we award about 10, I think this year we did 10 people that we recognize as People of Action Awards. So these are the folks in the district that have made a significant contribution to the district and or any of its doings that we have collectively going on. And so 2 people that were not able to be with us back in June due to travel, and here we are now in November, and we're finally getting to recognize a couple people. So I want to just start with a couple years ago, we had the concept of doing the conference, our district conference, here in Coronado, and trying to mix it with the Low Tide Ride and Stride and the wine tasting event. And Kit Williams, who was heading up the event for our wine tasting, stepped up, and I think we had one of the best wine tasting events, and was able to showcase it around the district at the Hotel Del when we did this last September the 10th. And so if you could come up, Kit, I would like to recognize you for your contribution. I want to just say a few more words. You're really the significant contribution. We set a goal of raising $1 million for polio. And so there's a 2-for-1 match with the Gates Foundation. That required us to raise $333,000. Well, we were getting close towards the end of our fundraising efforts, and there were a couple of Rotarians. One of them had helped out, push us over the edge, and we actually raised about $344,000, or about $1,040,000, I think is what that translates into for the polio initiative for Rotary. So, Kit, thank you for making all that happen and making that event so special. Okay, I have one more. Jane, if you could come up. So Jane offered to help when I was selected to be district governor. She jumped in right away and just said that she'd be willing to help do anything and whatever was needed. And so I started, this was back in the COVID days, right, when we're all kind of locked down. I started getting into the books of our district and realized how many district governors just never had time to clean up our books collectively. So Jane and I spent a great deal of time, and more so to Jane, in terms of subscriptions that a district governor would start and then not end. And another one would start another subscription, another one started, and so we had all kinds of things going on district-wise that nobody had really monitored or turned off or determined whether or not we were using those. So one of the things Jane did is helped get that all cleaned up, and we saved the district a lot of money in the process of doing that. And then, when we were done with that, I asked if we had talked about this, and I said, are you sure you want to do this? And that is the scheduling of all the district governor visits throughout the district, the 60 different clubs. And Jane agreed to do that, and it worked seamlessly for me, not so for her. and just the process of clubs changing, canceling, not responding, all the things that that Jane had to go through. But it was so effective and effortless on my part just to show up and have everything in place. And it was thanks to Jane for all that. So thank you for all you did, and I'm so grateful.
Jane, you might as well stay up here. So next, James, yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, this is James Morrison. I wanted to say Middleton. Sorry about that. He's the foundation district chair. So come on up and welcome.
Yeah, thanks for that promotion, be the foundation chair. I'm actually not. I've got a much more important job. I write your checks for matching grants. So you be nice to me. I accept chocolates, by the way. In fact, I just sent your check out here, I think 2 weeks ago for your Limbs of Freedom. Good afternoon. So I'm here to talk. I'm here to present some Paul Harris Society awards, but I started going through the numbers, and I don't really think I need to talk about the foundation to this club. In case you don't know this, that over the years you've had 19 district grants totaling $86,000. Paul Harris Fellows, you have 168 Paul Harris Fellows. Raise your hand. Keep your hands up. Donors who are not Paul Harris Fellows that donate to the foundation, raise your hand. Keep your hands up. Major donors, 29. Keep your hands up. All of those who would like to give to the foundation but haven't done it, put your hand up. I'm taking names and badge numbers. Bequest Society is 15. You have an Arch Clump Society member in this club. And in the Rotary Foundation, last year you donated $196,000. Polio Plus hit the ball out of the park. I don't know, do you have anything to do with that, Dan, over the polio thing? Yeah. All-time giving. This is incredible going through all the clubs, but all-time giving to the Rotary Foundation is $2,491,526. Give yourself a hand for that. So you have a total of 85,000 Paul Harris recognition points that you can award to someone, get a matching dollar. And I started thinking about that, 85,000, that's a lot of Paul Harris Fellows. So next year when you do the ride, I wouldn't hand out the medals. I would get Paul Harris Society members or pins from Rotary International. Hand those out. You can hand them out to everybody in Coronado Island as well. So we're here to recognize a new member to the Paul Harris Society. Let's see, Jane, will you join me up here, and Pat, and Carol Summer, is she in here? Carol, join us up here. And where's Lou Ann? All right, there you go, hiding behind me. Okay. So having Carol up here, she's the Arch Clump member, and in awarding her a Paul Harris Society Achievement Diploma is kind of like giving a preschool child a diploma after they've obtained their PhD. So Paul Harris Society is Rotarians who pledge $1,000 a year of Paul Harris Foundation gets to join the Paul Harris Society. We have, let's see, since 2014, in 2014, worldwide we had 11,000, 84 countries. Today, 29,800 in 150 countries. And the message there is, I think Rotarians are figuring out the world needs Rotary more than ever now. And in the United States, we have 14,000 Paul Harris Society members. Last year, all the Paul Harris Society members gave a total of $35 million to the foundation. Please welcome our newest members. How are we running on time? Okay.
Yeah, we gotta get going.
Got to get going. So, well, I was going to spend a few minutes talking about some of the work that Rotary Foundation does. We do projects all over the world. We buy prosthetic devices for people that don't have limbs. Great projects. We fund them. We deliver the product, we send the volunteers out, we complete the project, we write the final report, and it's all done. Well, we're working on a project now in this district that's not so much fun. It's not our core competency, and that's supporting the 80-plus Ukraine refugee families we here in San Diego. Did you know we had 80? I didn't either, till we got in contact with the House of Ukraine, found out we have 80 families here. They're getting bounced from one house to the next about every 2 to 4 months. I put in a grant, Rotary International. Now, those of you who have written grants or have worked with Rotary, you know what the timeline usually is, a very long time. So I put in a disaster grant on Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock. Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock in the morning, I received approval from Rotary International for a grant for $25,000. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, give your hand to the foundation. What's that? Okay. We spent the money, put in a second grant. Now, I've talked to your program and your program person here in Luann. I'm going to try to come back and do our Ukraine refugee program to this club. But thanks a lot.
Okay, I want to thank James. And if you want to ask any questions of him after the fact, I'm sure he can. So next, we have our past president, Ron Bobian, past district governor, Ron Bobian, and let me see if I can get this one right, Rotary International Director, right? Okay.
Thank you, Lynn. I'm here to introduce our speaker, and he's actually already been introduced via his bio, emailed to each of you this last week. But I'd like to provide just some of my knowledge of our speaker, John Germ. And for your information, all of you probably know this, but traveling and representing Rotary may not be as glamorous as you might think. Being in different airports, hours before each flight, waiting for your flight cancellations, interruptions, again, waiting in airports, eating airport food, eating airlines foods, which can be very difficult at times, or struggling with the time zone issues. Yet our speaker has endured this for over 30 years. 2 words best describe John Germ. The first, he is brilliant. The second, he is a visionary Rotary leader. John has been a member of every major Rotary committee in Rotary International. President of Rotary 2016-17 with a presidential theme, Rotary Serving Humanity, right there. Chairman of the Rotary Foundation 2021-22. John and I grew up in Rotary together. We first met in 1999, and we were training leaders for incoming district governors at the International Assembly. We were on the Rotary Board of Directors together, 2003 and 2005. We were on a number of major Rotary committees together, shaping Rotary's future. We traveled the world together, representing Rotary. When John was selected as president of Rotary International, Vicki and I were aides to he and his wife, Judy. When John was chairman of the Rotary Foundation, Vicki and I, again, were their aides. John is the godfather and founder of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in Polio Now 2-for-1 matching grant partnership. My fellow Rotarians and guests, I present to you via Zoom my good friend, John Franklin Germ.
Thank you very much, Ron, and thank you, Lou Ann, for asking me to once again be with this great club of Coronado. Dan, I had the honor, as you know, being there at your conference and auctioning off a Bill Gates signed hat for $3,000, as I recall it. So hopefully that helped you along the way also. It's great seeing some of you on the little boxes that we have on our screens these days, because we're still not traveling as much as we'd like to, but we still are proud to be with you today to recognize you for all the good work that you're doing, and the fact that you honor you as being a great contributor to the Rotary Foundation in many ways. Not only are you Paul Harris Society members, you're Polio Plus members, you also got your second AKS now with Matthews coming, realizing it's warmer in San Diego and Coronado than it is in Seattle, Washington, and coming to visit with you there and transfer his membership there. It's the projects you do. I remember the first time, I think it was the first time, maybe the second time, Ron could tell you for sure, when we had the opportunity to go down to Ensenada and to see your LIMS program with our friend who is now deceased, Paco Creo. So you've been involved a long time in supporting the great work of the Rotary Foundation. But, I think we need to think a little bit about the Red Badgers that are now there as potential new members or new members. You will get a blue badge sooner or later. So thank you for becoming Rotarians. And thank you for the work that all the club members have done in the various projects that you do locally and globally. As I think about Rotary and I think about the great work Rotarians accomplish with their service projects locally and globally, it seems to me that Rotary is like a person. We have arms, we have legs, we have lungs, we have a head, but most importantly, we have a heart. And to me, it's that heart that is the Rotary Foundation. The Rotary Foundation sends lifeblood throughout our organization. Its constant beat, as you just heard a few minutes ago, is what powers us as Rotarians to choose and achieve the very best in humanitarian service. And Rod's right. When we were selected to be the president, they asked me, who's going to be my aide? Who's going to be the convention chair? Was I going to have a jacket, which Ron's got on and I've got on today? And they said, what's your theme going to be? Well, what is it that Rotary does best? What is it that we do is we serve humanity? So it was obvious to me as to what my theme was going to be. And that's what we did. That's what we continue to do as Rotarians around the world. We provide service to people all around this world in so many ways. And that's what is the most important part of Rotary, is the service that we do. We can attract a new wide spectrum of partners. And I was glad to hear about your partnership with the Lions Club and with the Optimists and the work that you're doing there, because there's plenty of work to go around. There's a lot of things that need to be done. And if we work together as a team, then in fact, we will accomplish more. The private sector. Yes, Bill Gates has been a great partner of ours. We wouldn't be where we're at today with the eradication of polio if it wasn't for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. But let's also be thankful for the World Health Organization, CDC, UNICEF, that joined us in this fight in 1985, joined us in this fight. The Gates Foundation came on in 2007. The United States government is the largest governmental organization contributing to our campaign, and our advocacy committee works hard on keeping them involved. Many of you have heard me before, and you know that I believe that teamwork, together everyone achieves more. It's essential if we're going to be successful in our work. A few minutes ago, a comment was made about the world needing Rotary. And I think it does. The world needs Rotary now more than ever before. Read the newspaper, look at the news, look at your Facebook pages, look at anything you want to, and you can see why Rotary is needed more now than ever before. It needs our courage. It needs our optimism, our idealism. It needs the voice of tolerance, cooperation, and hope that we as Rotarians can offer. It needs an example of an organization that has proven that the citizens of all countries can work together successfully and in friendship. It allows us to increase our impact. Yes, we know that polio started in 1979 with the work in the Philippines. 1985, we had 1,000 cases a day in 125 countries. And now we have 30 cases in 2 countries, being Afghanistan and Pakistan, and 8 cases in Mozambique. Look at the work we're doing with our peace centers, with graduating 50 individuals with a master's program every year. And the fact that we had a generous individual give us $15.5 million to help establish a peace center in the Middle East and North Africa. A committee just visited those 2 countries, and they will be making a report next week to the committee, and then we will be making a report in January to the trustees. Let me thank you also for the sponsorship of Nancy, who will be studying in Brisbane, Australia. Let me thank you for helping us build an endowment of $2.025 billion by 2025. I talked about partnerships a few minutes ago when I said the Lions Club and the Optimists. Well, how about with World Vision and the work we're doing in Zambia on the eradication solving malaria problems? Or how about the German government with child and maternal health that we're working on in Nigeria? You see, Rotary Foundation allows us to expand our reach. It allows us to enhance engagement, participant engagement. But most importantly, I think it also allows us to increase our ability to adapt. In 2021, your club's contribution and the district's contribution and contributions all around the world help our foundation provide 478 district grants with a value from the World Fund of $28,763,662, and you participated in a lot of those grants. It also allowed us to have 1,197 global grants with total funding of $76,915,997. We did 228 disaster response grants worth about $7.9 million and 315 Ukraine disaster response grants of over $10 million to 29 benefiting countries. And I'm glad to hear today that you got the $25,000 grant, because when we set it up, it was supposed to be quick. You were supposed to get the project done, and then you're supposed to apply for another one. We still have about $3 million left that we must spend between now and December the 31st. And we thank you for your generous contributions and the work that you're doing to help these Ukraine refugees. I had the opportunity, and Ron did when we were in Houston, in order to meet some of the individuals, Rotarians from Ukraine that came to Houston. You won't believe what's going on. What you see in the news is just the tip of an iceberg. People need our help. And it's your contributions to the annual programs fund that allowed us to do that. You've been able to provide refurbishments to the current administration block and basic medicines and educational tools and resources for teacher training, pharmacy courses, life skills training, and toilets in Missionville. I happened to be in San Diego at Ron's house when the lady that was working on these grants said, "What do I need to do? How can we get this done?" So it's very gratifying to see that you have accomplished that. Or how about providing interactive educational technology and teacher training in a primary school? And as we said a few minutes ago, your limbs of freedom in Ensenada, Mexico. You've done many other things that you should be extremely proud of, including the Barhow College Institute Interact Club, your Polio Plus contributions. Yes, you had a goal and you exceeded that goal. You did it because of teamwork and because of the people like Kit that worked so hard on it, that gave of their resources to be sure that there are no more crippled children in the world. You help us reach our $50 million goal, and in January, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation will transfer $100 million to your Rotary Foundation. Wasn't easy. Projects are not being done as they were in the past, but it's the determination, it's the perseverance that has led us to get where we're at today. Yes, $50 million is important, but reaching 370 million children with over 940 doses of vaccine is also very important. We have to reach every child to be sure we eradicate polio. We provided 500 million doses of the new novel Oreo polio vaccine to stop circulating variant polio virus that has proven very successful. You know, it was the vaccine-derived virus that started in Malawi, started Pakistan, to Malawi, to London, and to New York. One case of that polio in New York, and there's been none other since then, there or in London. But it also provided us the opportunity to give $150 million in grants to polio eradication to WHO and UNICEF, who are two of our very, very important partners. Last year, we executed a new 3-year agreement with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. If we raise $50 million, they will give us $100 million per year. Would you believe that the cost per year averages $900 million to be sure that the world gets to be polio free? We have a new polio strategic plan. The plan simply says that we'll have no cases of either the wild polio virus or the vaccine-derived virus by December 31st of 2023. And then 3 years later, the world would be certified polio free by December 31st of 2026. As we sit in here today, enjoying a nice lunch, fellowship, and renewing acquaintances, let us remember that the challenges of bringing peace and understanding to a world full of conflict, ensuring clean water, reliable sources of food, literacy education, polio vaccination, and access to basic health care for the world's poor are tremendous. But Rotarians working through our foundation, the heart of Rotary, are answering these challenges. Through the hard work of tens of thousands of dedicated Rotary volunteers and the contributions and monetary gifts of countless more Rotarians from around the world, one village, one school, and one child at a time is being changed by Rotary. Yes, The Rotary Foundation is the heart of Rotary. It provides endless opportunities for Rotarians to do good in the world, to provide service above self, to make the world a better place for future generations. Yes, the Rotary Foundation is the heart of Rotary, and each of you are the heart of the Rotary Foundation. Every Rotarian every year contributes something through the annual programs fund, Polio Plus Society. And would you believe that only 12% of Rotarians in the world contribute to the campaign to eradicate polio? The needs are there. It's not about the money. It's what that money can do. So thank you for your continued support of our Rotary Foundation. And I believe we have a few minutes left, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. But before we do that, I would like to ask you to hear from Aidan O'Leary, who is the WHO chair of the polio eradication campaign. So can you please have that video?
Yes, John, it'll take just a second to set that up. Please hold.
Dear fellow polio eradicators, dear friends, last week on the 18th of October, at a global pledging moment, generously co-hosted by the government of Germany at the World Health Summit in Berlin, the international community came together and pledged an incredible $2.6 billion towards the goal of achieving a lasting polio-free world. On behalf of all of our partners of the Global Polio Eradication Initiative, and more importantly, on behalf of children everywhere, I wanted to send my heartfelt thank you to all of you for this truly unbelievable engagement. It is taking longer to achieve success than any of us had hoped, or perhaps even had anticipated. Sometimes it seems we may never achieve it, with polio suddenly creeping up again in places where it had long been gone. But in fact, we are steadily making progress towards our goal, step by step. Sometimes we have to take a step back. Sometimes we have to take a step to the side, but our trajectory is clear. It remains moving forward to success. And that to me is the real signal that the international community sent last week. Partners, donors, friends, Rotarians, countries affected by polio, all unanimously coming together to say, this is a goal that is worth pursuing. This is a goal that is realistically achievable. This is a goal that we want to, indeed that we have to, achieve. And we remain committed. Everything that is worth doing takes work. This is worth doing. More needs to be done. Together, we have to ensure that in addition to the tremendous commitments made last week, the full resources needed must now also be urgently mobilized. I am confident that, together, we will do just that. Last week was a very clear signal of intent that we may now build upon. Together. Allow me to finish this message with a quote from our Nigerian vaccinator, Sadia, from Kano, who addressed the global community by video message last week.
Together, we can end polio in Nigeria, Africa, and the world. I will try my best. Hope you will too.
Sadia, I can unequivocally say, we will too. Together, let us end polio. Thank you.
I think that shows you the great work that Rotary is involved in. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, the average cost is about $900 million per year. If we do 150 million, realize how important Rotarians are to the success of our goal of protecting every child in the world. So, Luann, thank you very much.
Oh, Mr. Jerem, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Does anybody have any questions at all? Get a microphone. Okay, I think we're good. Do we have a question? Mr. Jerem, I think we have one question.
John,
Whatever.
I'm kind of curious why it costs so much money to eradicate 8 cases.
It's not the eradication of 8 cases, the fact that we have to vaccinate 370 million children per year until there are no more cases. When you start to think about that, the vaccine itself only costs 14 cents a dose. But look what we had to invest in order to get the novel oral polio vaccine type 2 to stop the vaccine-derived virus. As you know, the vaccine has to get inside the gut, and it takes about 3 times in order to get that done. In countries like Pakistan, Afghanistan, Africa, and India, some of those people have been given as many as 20 doses. I know Ron's been on and Vicky have been on NIDs, and I don't know if anybody else in the room has or not, but it's a heck of an experience to see that, give that opportunity to do that. So that's why it costs so much. The healthcare workers are not the big cost. The healthcare workers, regular worker, which in Pakistan, Afghanistan is mostly females, they get $7 a day for 12 hours, and the supervisors get $9 a day. It's reaching those children all the time. And it's also going back into the countries where they have outbreaks to do what we call mop-up campaigns that we have to go to.
All right, any other questions at all? Okay, we have another question from James.
John, thank you. It seems like every year we're always dealing with Afghanistan and Pakistan. Is there something we're doing differently that can impact those countries?
Pakistan has 22 cases and Afghanistan only has 2 cases right now. So yes, there is something different. We've, through WHO and UNICEF, we've been working with the new government in Afghanistan, the Taliban. We are now being able to go door to door, and that's the secret, is being able to go door to door. We were doing mosque to mosque, but we're now going door to door. There's still about 70 million children that are not being reached in this world. And a lot of it is the vaccine hesitancy. People that we learned anything, we learned with COVID that there's a lot of people that don't like vaccines. And so we know that that's a problem. The cases right now in Afghanistan and Pakistan are fairly well centered along one area of the border. And so we have a permanent staff now that's outside of those 2 countries that is concentrating on those 2 countries.
Okay, is that anybody else? All right. Oh, I think we have one more question. One more.
No, it's not. So, John, you were president when I was club president now, and so you're really special in my mind.
Well, thank you.
But I want to relate, is Lionel here today? Lionel Rowe? No. So Suzanne is right here. Tell us, Suzanne, about you taking him to Ethiopia and him giving the dose. This brought tears to my eyes. You should tell that story.
Still brings tears to my eyes too. It was such a privilege and an honor to be able to go, and Ron helped make that happen, especially getting Lionel to go too. And Lionel just wanted to go because it would be a cheap trip. And when we came back on the plane, and I'm probably going to choke up too, he looked at me, he said, I'd like to become a major donor because of that. And he did, and that was awesome. He can't be here today. He's just not doing well, unfortunately. And I wish he was here today. We call him every Tuesday and Wednesday, and hope that he's going to come with us. But one of the things that when we were in Ethiopia and Somalia, getting ready to give the vaccines, Lionel looks at this crawler on the ground on kind of a skateboard, and he goes, "What's wrong with that person?" And I said, "Lionel, it's got polio." We saw another person in a wheelbarrow, and he said, "What's wrong with that person?" I said, "Lionel, it's polio." So when he finally dropped some drops to this little girl, he just started crying, and he said, "She's not going to get polio, is she?" And it was a magical moment. So thank you, Tom.
Okay, well, again, John Germ, thank you so much for taking time and talking to us. It was amazing. And just so you know, I'm sure Ron's home is open for you anytime. So please come visit. We would love to have you come and visit us anytime.
Thank you very much. It's always been a pleasure being there and sharing a lot of memories and working with Ron and Vicky. And they've meant so much to Judy and I over the years. So we certainly look forward to that.
All right, thank you. Okay, so next week we're at the K's Yacht Club, and the speaker, it's on Rainbow Marketing Agency and Think Better. Jacques Spitzer and Jeff Campbell, who is the former CEO of Burger King, is going to speak, and they'll be live. So remember, then after that meeting, we're dark on November 23rd, and then we come back on November 30th. We're at the Dell for the fashion show. And just know that all the money raised for that will go to Limbs of Freedom. So put all that on your calendar and have a great rodeo week.
All right, thanks everyone in Zoom world. We're going to end the meeting now. Have a great rest of your day, rest of your Rotary week. Thank you.